All right, guys, we're here with the Simpson Desert Debrief. We survived the trip, made it home, only just. But how long has it been now? I think,
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. So just wanted to do a quick little debrief video and a Q&A. So I've got some questions from the audience, from Instagram and YouTube, which we'll go on into. And I think before we get into the Q&A, what did you think of the trip? Did it live up to your expectations?
I didn't expect it to be this hard, to be fair. I thought it was going to be a bit of like, I thought it was going to be a holiday. It definitely was. I definitely wouldn't say it was a holiday.
It was probably the furthest thing from a holiday.
It definitely was definitely not a holiday. But
I don't think there was one point of relaxation other than the moment our heads hit the pillow until we woke up.
Yeah.
It was just the moment
It's torture.
It's torture. Just you wake up,
Torture.
you get on the bike, you're blasting 700 kilometers in some days, almost 800 kilometers some days, and you got the next day to look forward to, which is just doing the same thing until we hit the desert, which it wasn't big kilometers in the desert, but they were big days.
Yeah. No, it was. You definitely feel achieved, but I definitely feel achieved.
It was
no
a
denying that.
massive sense of achievement. I've been telling people that at work and stuff that have been asking me about the trip, that the trip wasn't a holiday, but it was more, I would describe it as conquering Everest. And not that I've ever climbed Mount Everest or climbed a mountain like that.
It doesn't come near.
No, but the Simpson Desert and doing it unsupported, that was our Everest, and we conquered it. So,
Yeah.
oh, did we conquer it? Because we didn't do...
Nah, we conquered it, mate. We still crossed all the dunes.
Crossed all the dunes,
I would
but
say we conquered it.
yeah, big desert eluded us. Oh, not big desert, buddy. Big June. Like a big red.
Big red.
My brain's scrambled from all these big deserts, dunes, everything. I don't want to see a dune for some time now.
Yeah.
But,
Look, I reckon we could have, if we stayed there a bit longer and like gave it,
Yeah,
a bit more.
looking
we were
back,
pretty fatigued, bro.
looking back at it, I think we made the right decision. Like we tried it like 5 times and it just wasn't happening. But look, probably we could have helped each other up. Like both get to around the same spot and then one of us gets off the bike and pushes. We could have done that.
Yeah.
We were just so exhausted. We had barely been eating that day or the prior day. We're still carrying fatigue from the previous one. We just wanted to get out of there. It was getting insanely hot.
It was the middle of the day as well, so the sand was probably soft as well.
Yeah.
It felt soft.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So in terms of, people have asked me, would I do this trip again? If you asked me during the trip, I'd say absolutely not. If you asked me just right after the trip, I would again say absolutely not. But at about 3 days post-trip, what happened?
You start missing it.
Honestly, you start missing the stress, the isolation, the not knowing what's coming up. Like all of those things, whilst they're bad when you're experiencing them, you look back and think, wow, like you're not thinking about anything.
That's the thing. You're not thinking about work. You're not thinking about any other issues except like your destination. Like this is where I need to get to.
Exactly. And it's I want to say it's a good feeling, but for some reason you chase that feeling. I don't know why, but it's probably what makes these adventures exciting. And, just there's a time and place for like the more relaxing stuff, going for the nice views and everything. But I reckon at least once a year, I want to try and do one of these big ones where there's some inherent risk. Obviously not something completely ridiculous, but having a little bit of risk, I don't know, just adds to the adventure. All right, now we're going to jump into some Q&A. All right, so the first batch of questions are from Instagram, and thank you everyone for submitting your questions. The first one is from Voodoo64A, and they ask, how do you plan your fuel stops?
There was no planning.
There really was none. Other than some very high level planning, we just pretty much topped up the tanks whenever we came across a fuel station, and we knew what we needed for the Simpson. But
I was always keeping the trip meter. I sort of had an estimation. Like, I'd get like 250. So when we started getting low.
But we were terrible because there was about 3 or 4 times there. Actually, you'll see it in the video that when we were going from Lyndhurst to Maree, you'll see Fabian right behind me drafting, like shaking his head. The reason being is that stretch ended up being 280 kilometers without fuel, where we estimated his max was only 250.
Yeah, I don't know how I made it.
We made it by, I think, drafting. We were keeping the revs low, so it took us longer to get there. But yeah, our fuel situation planning was pretty shocking. That's something that we could probably improve on next time.
All right, the next question's from Blackest10. Did you learn how to sand ride by the end? Was your prep good enough? I mean, I would feel pretty confident, I would say, with my sand riding.
I think our sand riding was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, we've done Googs now, Big Desert,
Little Desert,
the Simo, and I've stacked it a few times, but
yeah, I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back because I didn't stack it once. I didn't drop it once.
Did well in the Simo,
I didn't stack it. Yeah. I obviously got bogged and had to turn the bike around, but
my bike's heavier, but.
Yeah, and look, your bike's heavier, your bike's less capable. The CRF, we might get on. Actually, there's a question coming up later about the bikes, but I was proud of you. Like for those of you that don't know, you probably haven't seen Fabian on the channel much because he doesn't ride much.
Not really, no.
Really, between this trip and our last Googs trip, which was over a year ago, you'd only ridden twice. You'd ridden Big Desert.
Yeah.
And then you did one little day ride to Bunyip where we didn't even tackle anything.
Yeah.
So Fabian, he's a 4x4 guy. Loves his 4x4 camping, but you don't mind the odd bike trip.
I legit love the biking.
Yeah, it's a different kind of trip. And for your amount of skill, like there's not many people that have probably done the Simo with your amount of skill. And really, you did it so well.
Especially on the 250L. I don't know if there's...
It's not like you're on a KTM 500 that's...
But I still don't know, like, have people crossed it unsupported with the 250L?
Look, I made a post on Facebook and some people did say, I haven't seen any videos of it.
Yeah, at least a video, I guess.
So apparently some people have done it unsupported, but I think you're the first that's got video of crossing it unsupported on a CRF 250L. So I think you should be proud of that, especially with the amount of riding that you've done, like your riding history. And I said, he's only done 2 rides within the year, but even before that, you haven't done that much off-road riding. You've probably done more sand riding now than you've done just normal off-road riding. So no, you killed it. I think your sand skills are phenomenal now, and I think both of us killed it.
Yeah.
And what was the
preparation?
The preparation.
Look, I would say Googs, we did a lot more preparation compared to this one. But we did prepare.
We did, but I think the Googs preparation got us prepared for this one. Even though it was a year ago, we knew exactly what we needed to do. A lot of the stuff that we done then, especially for your bike, like his bike, we didn't do chain and sprockets and stuff because we did them prior to the Googs trip and they were just done now. But I think someone else maybe asks about that. But anyway, our prep was really good. I think other than managing some of the fuel stops, even though we never ran out of fuel, maybe we could have prepared a little bit better there, work out where the next fuel stops are. But overall, I think, it was really good.
Especially the fact that we were learning like how to change our tires and stuff like that. Like that prepared us for
like we'd done a few tire changes beforehand, again prior to the Googs trip, but it was good that we redid them again rather than paying someone to do our tires. We did them ourselves just before the trip, and I'm happy that we did because we had to do 4 or 5 tire repairs, tire tube changes on the side of the track. So having just done them, it was good to have those skills and know the tools and everything. I'd say all in all, we did a good job on the prep. All right, next question is from Sammy Bloom. I have a WR and hoping to do the Simo next year or the year after if I can get the bike ready. How much would you say the trip cost on fuel, food, and the odd accommodation? Great work on the video as well. Well, thanks, Sammy. I didn't do any of this estimation, and I probably could have gone and looked at the bank account after, but I actually don't know.
I actually have no idea.
We only camped in the desert. Honestly, like you could say that you're not hardcore adventure riders because you didn't camp on the way up or on the way back, but really the trip was about crossing the Simpson. We wanted to get there refreshed, and on the way back we kind of just wanted to get home. We're pretty tired by that point. We're happy with what we had achieved, so. We did spend quite a bit on accommodation, I would say, but given it was 2 of us, we're just sharing rooms, that kept costs down. I'm trying to do a quick head calculation.
Think about it. Each stop, maybe like how much you're spending on fuel, maybe. I mean, obviously you're spending more, the more...
Yeah, Mount Dare was over $3 a litre.
Yeah, so obviously it gets more expensive.
Look, these are just some numbers I'm throwing out there. Maybe 400 on fuel the whole time. No, not even.
Not even, I reckon. I reckon maybe
Because I think my Mount Dare fill up was $90.
with all the jerrys, everything.
All the jerrys and everything, and then maybe maybe $300 for the
I
whole
reckon
trip.
300. Yeah,
300 each, and then accommodation between the split costs and everything, maybe 700.
Maybe. Say $1,000 all up, maybe.
But then food, we'd spend a bit on food, but we weren't eating that much because we didn't eat. Sometimes we ate breakfast. I don't know. We probably could have done the calculations beforehand. I would probably say if you want to do a budget and you're camping, like you can do the whole trip easily under 1,000 if you don't include like stuff that you've bought for the trip. But yeah, just those costs with fuel and food and stuff, you could easily keep it under 1,000. We splurged out a bit. I'd say probably 1,500 probably cost us in fuel, food, and accommodation.
All right, next question is Mitch Moto Maths. What was the hardest non-riding part of the trip?
You want to go first or me?
I think you go first.
For me, I would say it kind of tied into the riding, but not really. Is that I didn't mention it in the video. Tried to keep it all positive, but in the week leading up to it, I done something pretty bad to my back, and I was actually kind of reconsidering whether the trip would even go ahead. I was meant to get an X-ray beforehand, and just the timing with the trip and all the preparation, I didn't even get a chance to do that. They reckon maybe I've got a stress fracture in the spine, or a really severe strain in the ligaments. And yeah, I just felt that constantly throughout the trip, being on the bike. Like it was probably a bit silly to maybe go into the Simo with a bad back, but look, with the adrenaline pumping, I didn't really feel it anytime I had to lift up the bike.
With the Nurofen in your bloodstream.
Yeah, a lot of Nurofen. I was sucking down the Nurofen. Which I didn't like that I had to, but we'd been doing so much planning. There was like so much preparation that we didn't want to kick it back to the following year, and I'm happy that we did it. You know, maybe I wouldn't be saying the same thing if things went bad and if that was related to my back, but yeah, thankfully it pushed through. Still feel it now 2 weeks later. I've got to do some rehab stuff, and hopefully I'll be back off-road for it soon enough. But what was the hardest non-riding part for yourself?
I'm trying to think. I could say probably the flies. I don't think I've ever experienced that many flies.
I wasn't even going to bring a fly net.
Oh, you would have been finished.
Because I've never really experienced that. Like I've only been into Outback, a couple of times, regional Victoria as well, which it's not as bad, but that was something different.
Yeah, we had the fly nets, which was good.
If you didn't have the fly nets, you die. Like you
couldn't even breathe.
Couldn't breathe. You're blinking and they're getting in your eyes.
Yeah,
just absolutely brutal. Yeah, you see some of the footage there, and it's all you can hear and see is just flies buzzing around you. Yeah. And the mosquitoes weren't too bad.
No, I didn't cop any.
I think I caught 1 or 2 bites. They weren't too bad. We didn't stay at Dalhousie Springs. One of the reasons was because everyone's saying how bad the mozzies are. Yeah.
We seem to attract them quite.
Yeah. Our blood, they love our blood. So I've been copping it since I can remember as a young child. Just absolutely get decimated through my clothes, through everything.
Genes, I reckon.
Yeah, but thankfully they weren't too bad. Just the flies were horrific. Yeah. All right, the next one's from Louis Boy, and he asks, did coming across the snippet of Fabian narrating his desire to leave surprise you? Well, it surprised me in the fact that I didn't know he recorded that. But in terms of what he was thinking, that didn't surprise me because I was thinking the exact same thing. Honestly, like I tried not to show it. Like as you can tell, I was acting pretty serious there, but I was shitting myself.
Bro, how many moments was there where we were just like, man, should we go ahead with this or
But then when we were there, I'm just thinking like, should I be the responsible older brother here and just pull the plug on this? Because when we got to Mount Dare, that was like 31 degrees at like 12 o'clock. It was going to get to like 33 that day, and we knew that the next day was even hotter.
Like 35, 36.
Yeah, which if we were planning, when we planned the trip and with the temperatures and everything, we were going to be hitting the QAA line, the easier line when it was that temperature. But because of the puncture that happened earlier, we ended up hitting the French line when it was 35, 36 degrees, which was just absolutely brutal. But yeah, back to your question, it didn't surprise me because I was thinking the exact same thing. I was ready to pull the plug when we reached Mount Dare because of how yeah, firstly realizing how remote bloody Mount Dare is, like that, getting there on that shocking track
That was a mission on itself.
on its own, and then we knew we had to
almost didn't make it there.
and we had to go back down it fully loaded.
Fully loaded,
So
yeah, that road was in a terrible state.
terrible state. The corrugations are like 10, 15 centimeters tall, which is absolutely brutal.
And there was a lot of soft sections, like
Yeah,
the bull dust.
Yeah. So yeah, we almost psyched ourselves out before we even got going. But yeah, again, persevered, and happy we made it. But yeah, I shared definitely the same feelings, and you know, sometimes, like I said, those risky things and getting outside your comfort zone definitely, you know, makes you grow, but also look back at the trip and appreciate what you actually did. Because, like I said, I don't think many people have done it in September. I don't think that many people have done it unsupported. You know, there's probably hundreds, maybe thousands. You know, we're maybe talking ourselves up a little bit that, you know, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but not everyone can jump on and do it. And then to do it in September as well, probably wasn't the best decision, but yeah, you know, with those temperatures we managed, and I'm, again, proud of what we achieved. All right, so that's the Instagram comments. The next ones are from YouTube, and Motorcycle Expert asks, how many kilometers did you have on your bikes before going into the trip? And did you do any maintenance beforehand to prevent problems? All right, well, we both pretty much had identical.
Yeah,
I think we were both around 18 to 19,000 kilometers pre-trip. And in terms of maintenance, you just did oil change and
filter,
oil filter and air filter,
and wheels.
And new tires. That's it.
Yeah, tires.
And we checked on both bikes. We nipped up every single bolt, or not nipped, but checked that, you know, everything was there and not loose.
The sprockets as well.
Sprockets.
Oh, not the sprockets. The
spokes. Yeah, spokes. Yeah. Didn't want them going. Yeah, so your bike, just basic service pretty much with just new tires. My bike, because I'd been riding a lot since our Googs trip when we last did the major work, I put new chain, new sprockets. I think that was the only difference, actually.
Yeah.
We didn't do much. They're reliable bikes. That's why we ride them. That's why we chose them for this trip. Like, we didn't feel the need to have to upgrade to anything else. They're very reliable. In terms of any problems that we had on the trip, they were, you know, tire related, nothing bike related, other than when your bike was shutting off. That was weird.
So that was a bit of a scare.
It only came up once.
I don't know what that was. Maybe some sensor was bugging out or something.
I don't know. Look, I'm not going to say it was unreliable or an issue because it only popped up once, and it was when you dropped the bike. Maybe it was a tip over sensor, something. So. But and then the other issue was your snapped chain guide, chain slide. Maybe it's because it's a bit cheaper made, but the corrugations that we were hitting, I'm surprised nothing else broke, because I was worried my pannier rack's going to snap, especially with the fuel 10 kilos on either side so low. I was so worried my pannier stat.
I think those bags only say max 5.
Yeah, I think the bags are only rated 5 kilos, but we loaded them up. Right. But yeah, I lost one bolt on my chain guard, and that's it. So yeah, maintenance, just basic stuff, anything that you would do normally. So nothing special.
Next question is Sausage Sandwich SA. I'm sure you'll have this covered, but I'll ask anyway. Fuel use both bikes.
Sorry about the rain, actually. It's started raining. I think I heard some thunder, so we'll try and wrap this one up quickly. But fuel use, we don't have the exact amounts, but I know both of us used under 30 litres. So Fabian was carrying 36 litres. 36. I was carrying 34. Now, the 250 the CRF should have actually been more economical. He's got like a fuel controller on it, and for whatever reason, the bike drinks a bit more than my WR. So that's why he brought the 36, I brought the 34. But yeah, both of us used under 30 litres. So, and actually, just related to that question, because no one else asked it, but around water, we both brought in excess of 15 litres. We don't even know how much because we packed a whole bunch extra at Mount Dare. But I think we used maybe 8 litres.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So we actually had more than enough water, but we were rationing it and we didn't know how much we needed. So yeah, probably didn't need that much, but better to be safe than sorry with the heat that we had. So yeah. All right, next question is from Anthony A7066. And they ask, really enjoyed that video, guys. Were you cursing the shop that did that tyre swap because it caused you all those flats? And what would you do differently apart from going earlier in the season because it was too hot? No, look, getting the tyre saved the trip.
Yeah.
Without that tyre, again, thank you, Greg, if you're watching this one. You saved the trip, kept the Simpson dream alive. In terms of did that tyre cause problems and was there issues with it beforehand? I don't know. It got us across the Simo without trouble.
Yeah.
The actual issue presented itself after that first pinch flat, which that pinch flat is, I don't know. I don't know if that was caused from running too low pressure, which you weren't. You were running 25 PSI and it had kind of two slits on either side of the tyre. I don't know if that's what a pinch flat looks like. Could it have been a pinch from when the guy installing it clipped it with the tyre lever? Maybe, but why did it take so long to present itself?
Yeah.
I don't know. In terms of the one where the wire was poking through, that could have either been a defective tyre or after that first flat, running it, because you actually rode on it for quite a while and didn't realise, maybe it was overheating, a bit of friction, and that caused that internal wiring to expose. I don't know, but, you know, it saved the trip. So we weren't cursing them at all.
Yeah.
It did suck though, having to do all those tyre roadside repairs. That was rough. And would we do anything differently? Have you got anything in mind? Definitely not doing it again in September.
Would I do anything in regards to the trip?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the weather. That was the biggest killer, the weather.
Yeah.
That's what really just drained you, fatigued you.
It affected everything because you had to think about water. It was fatiguing. It was...
Even the sand.
Made the sand
much
harder.
More softer, yeah.
Yep.
I'll just do it in winter, June or something, you know, it's more safer in a sense. So probably more people doing it at that time as well. More traffic.
Yep.
But in the end it was a success.
Same bikes? You do the same bike?
Yeah. The CRF is good, you know. It did the job, but I mean, having a DRZ or something probably
more power could be
make
nice.
It maybe more easier.
Because the DRZ is pretty much the same weight as the CRF.
Same way, just the more torque, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
But that's about it. All right, next question. Motorcycle expert, did you have any signs of heat stroke during the crossing? Yes.
100%.
I would say so.
I think that French line, I think we were working out, we probably both drank 5 litres each. I only took one piss.
Yeah.
Man. And it was brown.
There was a lot of discoloration in my
So we were dehydrated,
my urine.
Heat stroke, just absolutely destroyed by that heat.
I was fatigued. There were moments where I just wanted to collapse. I was so exhausted. And obviously I dropped the bike. You know, Josh didn't drop the bike as much. I dropped the bike a lot of the time.
There was a lot of times Fabian dropped it, it just wasn't on footage. So
yeah, and you helped me on some, but majority of them I was doing them because you were ahead.
Yeah.
And man, does that take it out of you?
Yeah, combined with the 36-degree heat that you could barely get away from because there's barely any shade out there. As you could see in the video, we're trying to hide behind some little bit of tree covering, but the sun's still penetrating through it.
And what killed us is the fact that you wanted to scull the water, but we still didn't know, in regards how long is it still going to take? Are we going to go through this much water?
So we just had to ration. Even though we didn't use anywhere near all of our water, we're still rationing.
I mean, I was feeling, when we got to, what was the place? The campsite?
Popel's Corner.
Yeah, I was getting a headache.
Yeah.
I was just...
100% we had heat stroke and dehydration.
Yeah.
All right, and the last question is from Jace9389. And he asks, what was your backup plan if something went wrong and the InReach wasn't available? Did you leave your ETAs with friends so they knew when you expect to check in at a particular location, etc.? Quick one, so did you ETA with friends? Yeah, we let family and partners know where we intended to be that night and whether we could check in or not based on knowing about reception, whether that town had reception. And in terms of backup plans, really the only places that mattered was during the Simpson crossing. So we had a PLB on us Didn't actually have an inReach, but we hired a satellite phone from Mount Dare that you could then drop off in Birdsville. So we had that as a backup, and we had different options. Like we had different plans for depending on what happened. So say one of the bikes failed, you know, we would reach out to Mount Dare, see if there's any other four-wheel drives coming. Maybe they could help us out. Maybe they could help somehow tow the bike, chuck it on a tray. You know, if we give them some money. If that wasn't possible, you know, dump the bike there, maybe try and ride 2 up out of there. Maybe he walks up, or I say he because it's probably more like the CRF to go, but really they're both reliable. So one of us just walks up the dune, then gets back on the bike. Like, you know, we had different options. But I think from a rescue perspective, like, because we had the satellite phone and the PLB, I felt pretty comfortable that if worse came to worse, we could get it rescued. But it was more so the thing we were worried about is mechanical problems that are just not fixable by us. We would be reliant on others to help us out, and whether that's Mount Dare, Birdsville, or just other people crossing the Simo. All right, guys, as you can hear, it's pissing down here in Melbourne. Of course, it was raining when we left on the trip. It rained the day we returned. It was the only rain on the trip. And of course, we're trying to record a video and it's thunder and pissing down. But yeah, I hope this video has been helpful. I don't know if there's much else to share. I think we've covered everything. Bikes, things that went wrong, what we thought of the trip. So hopefully it's been, useful to inform anyone else thinking about doing the Simpson. I'm sure one day we will do it again, whether it's the same line or maybe the Madigan line or something. We'll see. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this one. And if you hadn't watched the other one, why are you even watching this one? Go and watch Across the Outback. But yeah, subscribe to the channel and you'll catch us on another adventure pretty soon. Maybe, actually, maybe not soon, but next year, a big one. Maybe Cape York. We'll see. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.